Okay, so I'm going to try this again because I just did this video and it came off really bad. So if you're watching this, please let me know if the audio is coming through okay, because that was the problem last time. If it's not coming through okay, then I will need to do something else here. So today I'm going to be talking about a concept from... Okay, it looks like it's all good, so I will be able to do this. So today I'll be talking about a concept from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you've read that book before, comment below on the video and let me know that you've read it. If you haven't read that book before, I'd highly suggest that you do. It's such a great book. I think I read it sometime last summer, but it's probably one of those books that I'm going to be rereading because it's so good. So basically in that book, he talks about the two circles that everyone has. One is your circle of influence and one is your circle of concern. So your circle of influence is everything that you have control over. And that's going to be obviously things that you can influence. So it might look like your health, your relationships, your career, all the decisions that you can make and actually make a change, right? Your circle of concern is things that you can't control, right? So it's going to be maybe the weather, other people. You can't control other people, right? So that will go into your circle of concern. Maybe it'll be like terrorist attacks. All of those things you can't control no matter how much you think about them. You're probably not going to be able to change anything. So that's going to be considered your circle of concern. So basically in this book, he says that most people spend the majority of their time worrying and thinking about things that lie in their circle of concern rather than their circle of influence. And when I read this book, I realized I was definitely one of those people. Like, I was always in my circle of concern. So when you are always in your circle of concern, it can cause a lot of things. So it can cause you to become stressed out. It can cause you to become frustrated because you're worrying about all of these things that you're never going to be able to control anyway. So you're just always going to worry about them. Can lead to disappointment because you might think that you can make a change, but you're not going to be able to because you can't influence these things. And make you unhappy, overwhelmed. So basically he said you want to try as much as possible to shift your thoughts from your circle of concern into your circle of influence. So what that looks like for me is when I read this book, this was one of the concepts that I tried to apply as much as possible because it was something that really helped me. So what I do is, like, how can I focus on things that I can actually have influence over. So 1, how can I make myself better every day? 2, how can I grow my business? 3, how can I strengthen all of my relationships and for my health? How can I make sure I'm healthy enough? Those are all things that I have control and influence over, right? So when I spend time focusing on these things other than things that I can't control, it does a couple of things. 1, it actually feels like I'm making an impact because I'm spending time on things that I have an influence over. So that means that, I'm going to see the results. Like, things are going to happen. It's going to motivate me to keep taking action. Whereas, like I said earlier, if you're kind of always focused on things that are out of your control, it's just going to lead to frustration, disappointment, overwhelm. So, like your circle, focusing on your circle of influence will just make you happier because you actually can change things. Second, it just is really freeing. Like, once you realize that you don't have control over certain things, you just can let it go, right? So an example that I have about this is I used to be really afraid of flying in airplanes because every time I was in an airplane, I would be so stressed out and thinking, like, well, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if, like, a bird hit the engine like it did, like, in one instance or something like that? Like, all the bad things that happen with airplanes that usually don't happen, I would think about when I was on an airplane and worry about it. But then, like, after reading this book, I'm like, okay, so I really can't control anything that happens here anyways. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Thinking about it or, like, wishing it wouldn't happen isn't going to change anything. So I just let it go, and now I can actually enjoy airplane rides. Like, I can read my book, I can, like, relax. It's not scary. It's just, like, so freeing to just realize I don't have control over this, so I'm going to stop trying. And then it also frees your time up to focus on things you do have control over, and that can actually improve your health, improve your happiness, all of those things. And so another thing that you can do with this concept is apply it to your goals, right? So I'm really big about setting goals, but setting goals that you can actually achieve, right? So for example, if you want to be healthier, that's definitely in your circle of influence, but how, right? So maybe things that you can influence would be the food you eat, how much you sleep, and how much water you drink every day. Those things, you directly decide whether you're going to do them or not do them. So that will eventually make you healthier. If you want to be happier, like how? So for me, that looked like meditation, journaling, reading, doing crafts that I like, hanging out with my friends. Those are things, again, that I choose myself. I'm going to do them or not do them, and eventually they will make me happier. If I want to save more money, and then I just can't say I want to save more money, like how much? How much percent of my income am I going to save? What am I going to do that? So there's a lot of different ways that you can use the circle of influence and circle of concern, but the big picture is, like, spend your time and energy and focus on things that make a difference and not, like, things that you can't control, because it's basically just a waste of time and it's going to lead to a lot of negative energy that you don't need. And that happened to me after reading this book. I was able to, like, really focus on changing that. And of course, we're still going to fall into our circle of concern once in a while, but the more you can be in your circle of influence, the happier you are, because you're making you're actually making an impact. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know your thoughts, and your challenge for this week is to try to be as much in your circle of influence as possible. So have a great week.